All right, so welcome to this tutorial, and in this video we're gonna be looking at the binomial expansion, and we will look at both the Pascal's triangle and we look at the binomial expansion formula. So, but before we begin with that, we first have to understand what concepts we're going to use here. So the first thing I want to introduce you to is a factorial. So what is this factorial? So a factorial is just a product of what? Of integers that are positive. So represented as n factorial. So this exclamation mark here, like that, is the factorial. And what this just means is n multiplied by a number that is less than n, which is just going to be less than n by 1. That will be n minus 1 factorial, like that. So to write this out, that continues to go n by n minus 1 multiplied by n minus 2, just so on and so forth, like that. So here we'd have the factorial, but then we continue to what? We continue to go like that. Okay, so now, for example, if we have a number, let's say we have a number that is, we have 20 factorial. So what is this 20 factorial going to be? So 20 factorial is going to be, that is 20 by, so okay, maybe 20 is a big number. Let's use 5 instead. Let's use 5. So let's say 5 factorial. So 5 factorial is just going to be 5 multiplied by 4, multiplied by 3, multiplied by 2, multiplied by 1. Okay, so you end as when you reach what? When you reach 1. So we said they are positive. So meaning you only have to get the positive values and not what? Not negative values. So when you reach 1 like that, then you end with a factorial. So this is what the factorial what means. So you're just getting the product of what? Of the integers that is less than what? The number that you have by 1 until you reach what? Until you reach the last point, which is what? Which is 1. Okay, then you would ask, what of if I have 0 in the question? So 0 factorial is defined as to be 0 factorial is just 1. So you have 0 factorial being what? Being 1, like that. Okay, so now this is what you need to know first about factorials, and then the rest of the other concept now, which these questions that you're seeing here are based on that. So the concept that is on what? Combinations. So combinations. So what are these combinations? So these combinations, which we write as n combine r, like this. So this is n combine r, which just means, so this here is equivalent to, that is n combine what? Combine r, like this. Or you say n choose what? N choose r. So, but this by definition is just n factorial divided by, that is n minus r factorial, then r what? R factorial. So you have it what? You have it like this. This here is what? Is n choose what? Choose r. Okay, apart from that, we would consider also that is the special results, some special results, that is n choose 0, for example. So n choose 0 is just equal to 1. And of course, by this formula, you can show that what? That n choose 0 is just what? Is just going to be equal to 1. Because that is going to be, so by the formula which we've just introduced, we say that is n factorial, then divided by, then you have n minus, so your r in this case is 0, and then you have factorial there, and then 0 factorial. So this here is going to be r factorial, then divided by n minus 0 factorial. You just end up with what? N factorial remains there, and then you have 0 factorial. So the n factorial and the n factorial divide, and then you have 1 there over 0 factorial is just 1, so you have 1 over 1. Hence the result that you have. Okay, so for the rest of the results, I'm just going to what? I'm just going to list them here. So the others just include us having, that is, you have n choose n. So n choose n is just equal to 1 also, and then you have n choose 1. This is going to give you what? Give you n. So n is just a positive what? A positive integer that we are saying right now. Okay, now let us solve the question. So the questions are saying we should simplify the following. So simplify 100, choose what? Choose 1. So 100 choose 1. So this here is going to be, that is 100 factorial, then divided by, so our n in this case is what? Is 100. So you have 100, and then minus what? Minus the r, which is just 1 factorial there. And then you have what? 1 factorial. Okay, so this is going to be 100 factorial like that, then divided by, so 100 minus 1, that is just going to give us 99 what? 99 factorial. And then you have 1 factorial like that. So that is going to be, so here you can simplify to say this 100 factorial can be written as 100 multiplied by 90 what? 99 factorial like that, since it's a product that is going to continue down the line that way. And then you have 99 what? Factorial. So 1 factorial is just 1. 1 factorial is what? Is 1. So this just then you remain with 99 and 99 there, they divide, and then you have what? You have 100 like that. Okay, so you have 100 like that, which then proves this last part here, which we said, because we said n choose 1 is just going to give us n. And so we see here we have 100 choose 1, so we ought to know that that's just going to give us what? The 100, which we have gotten from our what? From our result here. Okay, let's proceed to the next one. So I think you would guess to say that the next one, that is 80 choose 0, this here is just going to give us what? Is going to give us 1. So 80 choose 0 is going to give us what? Is going to give us 1. Okay, but then let us show that. So to show this here, we'll say that is going to be 80 factorial, then divided by, you have 80 minus what? Minus 0, since your R is 0, and then the factorial. Then you have what? 0 factorial there. So this here is going to be 80 factorial, then divided by, so 80 minus 0 is just 80. So you have 80 factorial and then 0 factorial there. So the 80 and the 80 factorial divide, and then 0 factorial is just 1. So you have 1 over 1, which just gives you 1. So here we find out that way. Okay, so we can imply the same for the next one. Let's use what we have been given here. So the next one is 10 choose 6. So 10 choose 6 is going to be 10 factorial, then divided by, that is 10 minus 6 factorial, and then you have what? You have the 6 what? Factorial there. So this here is going to be 10 factorial, then you have 4 minus the 6, 10 minus 6, which just gives you 4 factorial, and then you have 6 factorial. So here from the 10, I can write that 10 as 10 multiplied by, so that would be 10 multiplied by 9, multiplied by 8, multiplied by 7, and then multiplied by what? 6 factorial. Why I am ending on the 6 is because I have seen a 6 factorial in the denominator. So that 6 factorial there is going to divide that 6 factorial. And then you have 4. So this 4 also I can write as 4 multiplied by 3, multiplied by 2, multiplied by 1. So here I can then divide the 6 and the 6 that goes, and then what do I remain with? So now here you see that with the 4 which you have like that, you can say 4 there, 4 into itself, that's 1. 4 can divide into 8, so that is going to be 2, and then you have 3 into 3, 1, 3 into 9, that's going to give you, this gives us 3. And then you have 2 there, 1, and then you have 2 into 10, you have 5. So on top there, we just remain with 5 multiplied by 3, multiplied by 2, multiplied by what? By 7. So this here, I can just multiply. So 5 multiplied by 3, multiplied by 2, multiplied by 7. That there is just going to give me 2. So this here is equal to 2 what? 210. So there down I just have 1. So 210 divided by 1, which just gives me what? 200 and what? And 10. Okay, so that is what I get for what? For this one. Now, when I look at the next one, so the next one I have 8 choose 8. And then from the result which we have, that's result 2, the special result which we said, result 2, which is there, that part, you have n choose n, you get 1. So let's just verify this, that 8 choose 8 is going to give us 1. So that's 8 factorial divided by, you have 8 minus 8 there, factorial, and then you have what? 8 factorial. So this here is going to be 8 factorial. So 8 minus 8 is equal to what? To 0. So you get 0 factorial there, and then you have 8 factorial. So 8 factorial can divide, that divides. So that's going to give us 0 factorial is 1. So here 1, 1. So you just have 1 over 1, which just gives you 1. So hence we verified. Okay, anyway, that's all about these when you talk of the factorials. Now let's get into the actual expansions. when it comes to these binomials. So the whole purpose of us employing these methods is for us to expand things that are very complex. So if you're multiplying the product, for example, if we have x, we have a plus b to the power 2. So this here is it's very easy, because what this implies is just you have a plus b multiplied by a plus what? Plus b. Then you could just say a multiplied by a, that gives you a squared, a multiplied by b, that gives you ab, then b multiplied by a, that also gives you ab, and then you have b multiplied by b will give you what? B squared. So I can add these two, they're like terms, so I get a squared plus 2ab, and then you get b squared. Now, when you have 3, when we have 3, this here, let's say we have 3, it means we have to add a third one here. So that means after multiplying the 2, you'd have to multiply again. So now, if you have powers that are increasing, if powers increase above that, it's going to get tedious and so hard to make that expansion. Hence, we are going to employ these methods, that is the Pascal's triangle and the binomial theorem, formula, in order for us to get these expansions that we need. Okay, so here on the screen, you could see this triangle that you see here is Pascal's triangle. So what Pascal's triangle gives us, it gives us the coefficients of a binomial expansion. So the coefficient of a binomial expansion. Okay, so what do I mean by the coefficients? So we just mean the values that we have. So if you see from this here, we also have it at this part. To say if I have a plus b to the power 0, that's 1. A plus b to the power 1, that's 1. So here a plus b squared, the way we got this coefficient, that the first one there you had 1, then the next one there you have 2, and then you have 1. Okay, and then to the power 3, you have 1 there, you have the coefficient there, 3, you have 3 there, and then you have 1. So those are the coefficients. So that's what the Pascal's triangle gives us. It gives us what? The coefficient. So for the first one here, the one which you have here, where you just have the 1 there. So where there's the 1, that is what? 0 rows. So that just means you have a plus b to the power what? To the power 0. That gives you the 1 there. Okay. So where a and b are just what? Are just integers. A and b are just what? Integers. And then you have the first row now where you have 1 and what? And 1 there. So you say you have 1 and 1 there. Okay, so then the third row you have 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. Okay, so how this Pascal's triangle works is you start with your 1 and then you put 2 1s, that is 1 and 1 there. And then the next thing that you're going to do is to get the next value. So the outer end of the triangle or just has 1s. So you can see there's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And then you have 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, like that. So they'll continue being 1s like that. But then to get the numbers that are in between, so what you do here is you're going to be what? To be adding. So I add the 1 and the 1 and I get 2 there. So I get this 2. Okay, then I put 1 and 1 outside there. Then what do I do next? So next you add the 1 plus the 2, you get the 3 there. And then you add this 2 plus the 1 there, then you get the 3 there and you put 1, 1. And then for the next one, you add your 1 plus the 3 there, which gives you 4, like that. And then you put 1 out there, and then you add this 3 plus the 3 gives you 6, and then you have the 3 plus the 1 gives you what? Gives you the 4, and then you add the 1. So this continues that way in that pattern. That's how these coefficients are obtained. So now, this is how we obtain those coefficients. Now, how are we going to use this? How are we going to apply this for the expansions? So now, in order to apply this to expand, we are going to have that you have 1 plus x to the power what? To the power 5. So you have 1 plus x to the power 5, the first one that we have been what? We have been given. So how do we make this expansion? So this here is just telling us the general form. As you would see here, you have a plus b, and then you're getting these values there. So this is our a and plus our b there. That's our a and plus our b. And so we're going to the power of what? The power of 5. So in our case, we already have it here, that is row 5 that we have, which is there, to the power of what? To the power of 5. So the first coefficient, the first binomial coefficient is going to be what? Is going to be 1. So it's going to be 1. So you write your what? I'll write my 1 there. So write my 1. And then what do I do next? So you start with the what? You see here, a plus b to the power 5. You have that a is raised to the power what? To the power 5. So what that just means is the first value which you have in your binomial, or in this part of your what? Of the expansion that you're making, that first number should be raised to the what? To the highest power. And then the other one should be raised to what? To no power, which is the lowest power, which is what? 0. So meaning I'm saying 1 to the power what? To the power 5. And then you have what? This other one, x raised to what? To no power, which is just the power what? The power 0. Hence, you see that in the first part, the b is not shown. It's not that the b is not there. It just means that that's 5 to the, it's a to the power 5, and then you have b to the power 0. But then you know that any number raised to the power 0 is just going to give you 1. Hence, you have what? You have that result there. And then the one that follows, you see that the number which we are getting is what? Is a 5 there. So the coefficient is a 5. And then what's my a? My a is just 1. Then you reduce the power. So now what will be happening here? You'll be reducing the power. So so either A or B. So where there's A will be reducing in power, whilst B is what? Is increasing in power until we reach a point where B reaches also the what? The highest power of the what? Of the expansion which you have. So here we'll have that this will be 5, then you have 1 to the power what? To the power, so the power reduces to 4, and then you have the next one which is going to follow, you'll be x. Now x is going to be to the power what? To the power 1, plus the coefficient 10. So 10 is the coefficient, and then you have 1 to the power, so it reduces now to what? To 3, and then you have x to the power what? To the power 2. And then next you have, that's a 10 again, the coefficient, so 10, and then you have, that is going to be x to the power what? So this power, not x, so 1, so that's 1 to the power. So this here is going to reduce, so it will reduce from what? From 3 to 2, and then the other one is going to increase to what? To 3. Then plus the next value you have is what? Is 5. So we say 5, I write it here, so 5, and then 1 to the power, so it reduces to what? To the power 1. And then you have what follows next, it will be x to the power, so x increases to what? To 4. Plus, then the coefficient, the last one there is just 1. So 1, and then x, the 1 there reduces to the power what? Nothing. In this case, that would be 0. So you can either write it or not write it anyway when showing here. But anyway, because of learning, let's just write it there that it reduces to what? To 0, which we know will get just 1. And then now you see that the b part, which is just x in this case, is going to what? So x to the power what? The highest power 5. So when it reaches the highest power 5, then you know that you are what? You're there. You've reached the end of your what? Of your expansion. Then from here now, what you do is just to evaluate. So you just get here, 1 to the power 5 is 1. And then 1 multiplied by 1 is just 1. And then 0, x to the power 0 is just 1. So there at first we just get 1. Then plus, then here you have 1 to the power 4, which is just 1, and then you have x to the power 1, which is just x. So 5 multiplied by what? By the x there gives us 5x. And then next you have 10 to the power 1. Here 1 to the power 3, which is 1 multiplied by 10 gives us 10. And then 2 here is x is raised to the power 2, which is just 2 squared. So this is going to give you 10x what? Squared. Then plus we have, that is, so 10 follows. Then this is what? X cubed. Then plus the next is 5x to the power what? To the power 4. Then plus here you get 1 to the power 0 is just 1. 1 multiplied by 1 is 1. Then you have x to the power 5, which is just going to give us x to the power what? 5, like that. So just like that, you'd have what? You'd have made your expansion like that. Okay, so now here we're going to do the pleasure of what? Solving the rest of the questions. So let us go on and to solving the remaining what? The remaining questions. So we have the one that follows, that is 1 plus 3x then to the power what? To the power 4. So here we're going to use what? The one which has the power what? The power of 4. So the power of 4, we use what? This here, the fourth row, which is there. So the coefficient is 1. Our value there is what? Is 1. Raised to the highest power, which is 4, like that. And then you have what follows next is 3, it's 3x. Now to be raised to the power 0 should just give us 1. So we just leave it that way, and we don't bother writing it because we know it's going to give us 1 from what we've learned. So then the next here is I'm going to reduce this power. So the coefficient I get there is 4. So 4. Then I reduce the power. That's 1. It's going to the power what? 3. And then I increase the power on the 3x. So that is going to be 3x to the power what? The power 1. Then I have plus, next is 6. So you have 6, and then you have, that is 1 to the power, I reduce there, 2, and then you have 3x to the power 2. And then you're going to have there, that is 4. So you have 4, then you have 1 to the power, so that reduces to the power of 1. And then you're going to have 3x to the power what? To the power 3. Then plus, you have 1 there. So 1, the coefficient, and then 1 to the power 0 this time. So this here, you see it goes to 0. So you just leave it like that. So because we know it's going to be 1. Then you have 3x to the power. Now it has reached the highest power, which is what? 4. Next here is just to what? Is just to expand, simplify, and put it in a smooth way. So this here is going to be 1 to the power 4, which is just 1. And then plus you have 4 there, 1 to the power 3, 1. So you have 4 multiplied by the 3 there. It's just going to give us, this here gives us what? 12. So you get 12x. And then plus, so here, that gives us 1, then you have 6. So here now 3 what? 3 squared. So 3 squared is 9. So here 3 squared, you get 9, and then you have what? X squared there when you distribute that power. So you have 3 multiplied by so you have 3 multiplied by you have 3 multiplied, I mean 6 multiplied by what? Multiplied by 9. So 6 multiplied by 9, this just gives you 50 what? 54. So you get 54, and then you have x what? Squared there. Then you have plus, what's next? So you have 4 there. Then here you have 3 to the power 3. So 3 to the power 3, which just gives us 20 what? 27. So 3 raised to the power 3 gives us 27. And then you have x what? X to the power 3. Then you multiply now this 27, you multiply it by what? 27 multiplied by the 4, which just gives us 108. So that's 108 to the power x to the power what? 3. And then you have 3 to the power what? 3 to the power 4. 3 to the 4th, and then that's 30, that's 81. 3 to the power 4, that's 81. And then plus, so that is going to be 81. And then x to the 4th, that's just x to the 4th like that. And just like that, we would have made our expansion. Okay, so now let us move on to the next part of the question. So this next part is now going to be interesting because we have negative what? We have negative signs. So we have negative signs in the next part. So how do we then do this? All right, so I erase here. Okay, so this here is going to give us, so you have 1 minus 2x to the 4th, like that. And this expansion is going to be 1. So 1. And then you have negative there. So you're going to have 1 to the what? To the 4th. And then you have the next one is just going to be here, negative 2x to the right, so there, what we're going to get then is, for the next one, we know that's just going to be raised to the power 0, so we just leave it the way it is. Then we move it to what? We move it to the next value. So the next value there, which we just have, we know the coefficient is what? Is 4 first, and then you have 1, then that's raised to the power what? The power 3, and then you have negative 2x like that. So negative 2x, then what do we have next? You have 6, so that is 6. And then you have that to the power 2, and then you have negative 2x, and then to the what? To the second what? To the second power. And then next we have 4 there. So that is 4 then multiplied. So the 4 is there. That's the coefficient. And then we have 1. and then that is going to be what? Multiply negative 2x, and there we increase the power now to what? To 3. Okay, and then we're going to have that this here is going to be, so the next one is going to be, so you have 1, and then that's the binomial coefficient there, and then 1 to the power what? So we have 1 to the, so this one gave us 1 to the what? So this is just 1 to the what? To the power 0, which is just going to give us 1. So anyway, just write it there, indicate. Okay, then from here, we're going to have that. So we're going to have that the last one is negative 2x to the power what? To the power 4, like that. So this here is going to give us, so there you have 1. So 1 multiplied to the power 4, that's just 1. And then plus the next there you have 4. So 4 then multiplied by what? Negative 2x. So you have 4 multiplied by negative 2x, which just gives us negative what? Negative 8x. So this positive here, I can write a negative because we are getting what? Negative there. So you have 4 multiplied by negative 2x, which just gives us negative 8 what? Negative 8x. Okay, and then the next there, which we have, what we have is, so this 2, negative 2 squared is just going to give us 4x squared. And then you have 4 multiplied by what? By the 6 there. So 4 multiplied by 6 gives us 24. So that's going to be 24x what? X squared. And then you have plus, there you have 4, and then x to the power what? To the power, so there you have x, you have this negative 2x raised to what? To 3. 3 is an odd power. When you always raise a negative sign to an odd power, the negative sign is still going to be there. So this will give us negative what? 8x to the power 3. Okay, so there we get a negative. And then negative, so we have 4 multiplied by this negative 8, which just gives us this to be what? 32x to the what? To the third power. And then you have plus the next one here, this is an even power. So this will give us this negative goes, and you just have what? 2 to the 4th, which is just 16. So you get 16x to the what? To the 4th. This here gives us 1. So you just remain with 16x to the what? To the 4th. So this here is our binomial expansion. All right, let's do the next one. Okay, so what is the next one? So the next one you have 1 minus x to the 1 minus x to the 6th power. So we use that last row there. So that is going to be the binomial coefficient. That's 1. I have 1 here, so and I'm going to get 1. Negative x is raised to the power 0, which is just 1. So I leave it that way. And then what is the next value that I get there? So I say this here is going to be plus, so this is going to be plus, okay, which will just be a minus, but let me write it. So this will be plus. Then you have what? This 1, we raise it to the power what? So whatever we are going to raise it to, whatever power we are going to raise, this still is going to give us what? 1. 1 to the power 100 is still 1. 1 to the power 6 is still 6. 1 to the power 5 is still 5. But have in mind, the powers are now reducing. I'm not going to indicate them, but the powers for 1 are reducing. And then for the negative what? 3. And for the negative x are what? Are increasing. So for the negative x, it will increase to what? To 1. So the coefficient I write, that's there. So that's 6, and then negative what? X to the power of what? The power of 1. And then you have the next one that's going to be plus, you have what? 15. So 15 there, and then 1, of course, for the 1, it's reducing. The power is reducing. So it was first at 6, it was at 5, but we know we're still going to get 1. And then this will be negative x, and then to the power what? To the power 2 plus 20. Then you have negative x to the power what? To the power 3 plus 15. And then you have negative x to the power 4. Then plus 6. You see here 6 there. That is negative x to the power what? Power 4. Then plus 1, which is the 1 is the coefficient there. So plus 1. Then multiplying, we have negative x to the power what? 6, like that. Okay, so this here is what we have. And then what are we gonna do next? So here we just multiply, so we get 1, then minus there you get negative 6x like that, and then here we multiply. So this negative x squared is going to be positive, so this will be plus 15x squared. So where there is an even power, just know we'll get a positive. Where there is an odd power, we get a negative. So the next one means will be negative since 3 is odd. And then you have 20, that's x to the power what? 3. And then you have that to be plus 15, x to the power 4. Then you have, okay, this here should be 5, not 4, 5. And then minus 6, x to the power 5. Then plus 6, x to the power what? To the power 6. And like that, you would have what? Expanded. All right, so let us do the next one. So the next one, we have 2 minus the x over 2, and then you have 6. So this one is kind of interesting. We now have a what? We now have a fraction involved. So what do you do when you have such a fraction? So you are going to apply the same things that we're doing. So we use the same last row which we have here. So this here is going to be the first one, that's 1. So 1, and then you have that number raised to the power what? To the power, your highest power, which is 6 in this case. And then plus, the next one is you have the coefficient that is 6, and then 6, you have what? 2. Now this 2, what? The power will reduce. So it reduces to what? 5. And then we increase the power on this what? Other term. Remember, this is a plus b. So we're increasing now on what? On b. And b is just negative what? X over 2. In case you're not seeing that it's 2, then we factor out that positive, that'd be positive, and then negative x over what? 2. So this here is a, and that's our b. Okay, so that, and then after this, you have the next there, your coefficient, you get that's 15, and then 2 to the power 4, and then you have negative x over 2, then to the power what? Over 2, and then you have that to the power 2. So it increases like that. Okay, another thing that you must know, like for you to know that you're right on track, is the power which you've raised your a, when you add it to the power which you've raised your b, they must give you your total expansion, or your total what exponent which you are trying to expand to. So in this case, when we add our 5 plus 1, we get the 6. 4 plus the 2, you get the what? The 6, and so on. You continue to see this pattern. So next there, you get 20, that's your coefficient, and then you have 2 now to the power what? 3, and then you have negative x over what? 2, then raised to the power 3. So 3 plus 3 gives us the 6. So we are on track. Then plus, next you have 15. So 15, and then you have 2 to the power what? You have 2 to the power 2, and then you have negative x over 2 to the power 4, then plus 6, then you have 2 to the power 1, and then you have negative x over 2 to the power 5, plus the last one is 1 there. Then 1, your 2, this has reached what? 0, which is just going to give you 1, and then you have the negative x over what? 2 to the power 6 there. Okay, so from there, we now can evaluate that and simplify and clean that up. So this here is going to give us, so you have 2 to the power 6. 2 to the power 6 is just 64. So you get 64 there. Okay, so you see this, it's raised to the power 1. 1 is odd, so this you get a what? You get a negative, negative will still be there. So the negative will be there. And then you have 2 to the power 5. 2 to the power 5 is just 32, and then 32 divided by 2, which just gives us, so 32 divided by 2 gives us 16, and then you have 16 multiplied by what? By 6, which is 90 what? 96. So you get 96 there. And then you have your what? You have your x there. Okay, then the next is, so next you have 2 to the power 4. So 2 to the power 4 is just 16. 16 by 2 is 8. 8 multiplied by 15, you just get what you get, 60. Since this is raised to an even power there where there's a negative, we know that negative will go and you have a positive. So this will be positive, and then we get what? 60, and then you have, this is raised to the power 2, so that will be x to the power what? To the power 2. Okay, next, here it's an odd power where there's a negative what? Where it's x, negative x over 2 raised to the power 3. So the negative will still be there. And you have 2 to the power 3 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4. Then you have 4 multiplied by, okay, so we said 8 to the power what? 2 to the power 3 is 8, and then 8 divided by this 2 here. So we're saying 8 here, then divided by the 2 there gives us 4. Okay. I hope we've done the right. Oh, we are here. Oh. Okay. So we are here. So that is supposed to be here. We said, so that is going to be 2 to the power 2, 16. Then there 1. Then there you divide, we get what? We get 8. And then 8, that 8 multiplied by 8 multiplied by 15. 8 multiplied by 15. Oh, there's a square here. Sorry, I forgot the square. We are squaring this part here. All right, so we are squaring this part. So we said this is negative x over 2, and then you have the square there. So when you square there, you get x squared and then over 4 there. Okay, yeah, so that's the case that is going to be there. So you have 4, and then you have 2 to the power 4. So 2 to the power 4 is 16. So you have 16 divided by 4, which is just going to give you 4. So 4, then the 4 multiplied by what? By 15 is the one which gives us what? The 60 here, like that. All right. So that's what we get. Now, the next one, okay. So next one, you have this part here. So where there's a negative power, so the negative is going to be there. So that's negative 3 like that, and then divided by, so 2 now, this 2 is being raised to the power of 3, which will just give us 8. And then you have this here, which is just 8 also. So that's 8 divided by 8, which is 1. And then you have multiplied by 20. So you get 20 there. So 20x to the power 3. Okay. Next here, you have this raised to an even power, which is going to give us a positive. And then you have here, that is negative. So you get a positive, that would be positive x to the power 4. Then over 2 to the power 4 is what? 16. And then you have 2 to the power 2, which is what? 4. So this there is going to be 1 there, 4. And then you have what? You have 15. So you have this 15, which is what? In front there. So you have that 15 there, which is in front. So which is going to give you what? 15 over what? Over 4, then x to the power what? To the power 4. Okay, then we come here. So you have this here, which is going to, it's an odd power, so it's going to be negative there. And then 2 to the power of 5, that's going to give us 32. Then this is to the power of 1. So in short, what you have is 2 there. You have a 6 in front, keep in mind. So you have 2 there, and then you have x to the what? So negative x to the power of 5, and then over what? Negative 2 to the power 5. That is what? That is 32. Then you have there and there, that is 1. There, that's 16. So you have 6 over what? 16. But what is 6 over 16? So this 6 over 16 can just be reduced to, you have 3 there, I mean 2 there, that is 3. 2 in 16, that's what? That is 8. So you have 3 over 2. I mean 3 over 8. So 3 over 8 like that. And then you have x to the power what? To the power 5, which is there. Okay. And then the last one is just this here. So it's an even power. So you get even, it to be plus there. And then that's going to be x to the power of 6. Then 2 to the power, so then 2 to the power 6. So 2 to the power 6 is 64. So that will be over what? 64. And this here is going to be what? To be our answer. So let me just erase that for you to see it there. So that there in blue is our what? Is our answer. All right, let's do the last question. on this part. So we have that this is going to be x minus 1 over x, then to the power what? To the power 5. So we're getting this now. So how are we going to do this one? So it's the power of 5. So we use this fifth row here, coefficient, that's 1. And then you have, so in fact, since it's 1, even not writing it like that is okay. Then you have what? X there. So x to the power, the highest power, which is 5. Then you say plus. Then you go the next coefficient there, that's 5. So I write the 5 there. And then this here, the x will reduce in the power, so it will reduce to the power of 4. And then the next one increases to the power of 1. So that will be 1 over what? X, like that. So it's increased to the power of 1, since it was at the power of 0. And then there you have 10, so that will be 10 there. And then x reduces to the power what? From 4 to 3 now. And then you have negative 1 over x to the power 2. Then you go the next one, that is plus 10, and then you have x to the power 2, and then 1 minus over, that is x to the power of 3. And then the next there you get 5, and then 5, what's the next one? Okay, so 5, and then that reduces x to the power of 1, and then you have negative 1 over, negative 1 over what? X to the power of what? 4. Then you have 1 there, the last one, that's 1. Okay, this here reduces to 0, that will just give us x to the power 0, which is 1. And then you have the last part, so that will be plus negative 1 over x to the power of 5. So this here we expand, we get 5 to the x to the power 5. And then here you get a negative. It's to be there because of that odd power, so negative. And then you have this x divides into there, which reduces this to the power of what? 3. So that will be x to the power what? 5x to the power 3. And then next here, so it's even, so that plus positive will be there. And then this here has increased to the power of what? 2, because it's 2 squared. This here you're dividing, so you just remain with 10, then x there. Okay, then what is the next one? So the next one here, you're going to have the odd power, so that's going to be negative, and then you have 10, and then you have, so here you just get x squared, so that's 10x squared, and then you're going to multiply, that's 1 there over, so the negative is going to be there, so negative, then there down, that will just give us x to the power what? To the power of 3. So x to the power of 3, which is going to be there 1, and then that power reduces, then you just remain with what? With x. So in short, you're going to have 10 over what? Over x. Okay, then the next is going to be, that is 5, and then to the power of 4, so 1, so that is going to be just over what? X to the power 3. So you get x to the power what? To the power 3. Then the last one is odd, so that's negative. Then you have 1 over x to the power what? Power 5. Okay, just like that, you would have what? You would have expanded using what? Pascal's triangle. Well, now there is an alternative, of course, from the what? Or to this Pascal's triangle. And that is, that alternative is just using the what? The formula. So that formula, which we are going to use or to employ the binomial formula, is just a plus b and then raised to the power n. That is n there, that power n is what? Is positive. That has to be positive, and is not what? A rational number. It's an integer, so n must be a positive what? Positive integer. Then this here will employ the what? The formula to say summation will sum r from 0 to whatever power of n. And then you're going to say that is n, choose what? Choose r. So that combination which we had at first, or which we talked about at the start of this video. And then you have a to the power that is n minus r. And then you have b to the power what? To the power r. So this is what you would get. Okay, so now let us put this now into action. So for the first one, you have x minus 2 to the power 5. So we're not using Pascal's triangle, so meaning we have to find those coefficients in this case. So this here could be written, of course, as x plus then minus 2 there, like that. Okay, then to the power what? The power 5. So that we have our a and our b there. So you have your a and your b like that. So how is this expansion going to be? So you start from r at what equal to what to 0. So in our case, if we write this in our case, we are summing from r 0 until n, that is our n, oh, it's 5 and not 6. So our n, that is 5. And then there, that means you have 5, choose what? Choose r. And then you have a. Our a in this case is just x. So that's going to be x to the power of n minus r. And then our b there is what? Negative 2. So negative 2 to the power of what? R. So in short, this is what we're going to use. Of course, we are going to get each and every one. You're summing, so you're adding each and every term from r0 to r what equal to 5, because that's the highest power you're going here, because we said 5. Okay, so now that there is just going to be, you have that is going to be 5. Choose what? Choose 0. We're starting at 0, and then you have x to the power of, so our n here, so that n is 5. So our n there is 5, so you say 5 minus your r is 0, and then you have negative 2 to the power what? To the power 0. So that's 1. And then the next term is going to be, so we say plus, since it's what? Summation, we're adding. So this is going to be 5. Choose what? Choose the next number. You're following the integers just the way they are from 0 to what? To 5. So you get choose 1. And then you have x, then n, your n is 5 minus your r 1. Then you have negative 2 to the power, your r is 1. Plus, then you say 5, choose 1, and then you say this is x to the power of, that is 5 minus, so there you choose, it's choose 2 now. So minus 2, and then negative 2 to the power what? To the power 2. Then plus, you have 5, choose what? Choose 3, and there you have x to the power what? 5 minus 3, and then you have negative 2 to the power of, that is 3 there. Okay, plus, then you have 5, choose what? Choose 4, and then you have x to the power of, that is 5 minus 4, and then negative 2 to the power 4, like that, and then you have plus 5, choose what? 5. Now, r is what? Is now 5, so this is our ending point. This should indicate that it's your ending point. So that is x, 5 minus 5, and then you have negative 2 to the power of 5. Okay, so now we are going to what? We are going to evaluate this. So depending on what you are using, so you can directly punch this combinatoric here, or this n choose r, the 5 choose 0. You can punch it on your calculator. That is just going to be n, which is 5. It's going to be 5 combine what? Combine 0. So there is a what on your, depending on what calculator you're using, but there should be a symbol that is n like this there. So you put the first number, you press that value there, and then you what? You put the second value which you're choosing there. Okay, so you do that, and then you get the value of this. Or you can use the formula which we discussed at the beginning, that is 5 choose, so this, it will just be this 5 choose 0 will just be 5 factorial. But then we know from what we've learned at the beginning that 5 choose 0 is going to give us 1, because we said n choose 0 is just going to be 1. So then, but then if you want to verify with the formula, that would be 5 factorial over, that is 5 minus what? 0 factorial. Then you have what? Then you have 0 what? 0 factorial. So this here, you evaluate and see what you get, just as we did at the what? At the beginning. And then you have x there, then to the power of, so this will just be to the power of 5, since minus 1, that's 5. And then negative 2 to the power 0 is just going to give us what? 1. Okay, then next you have 5 choose 1. So 5 choose 1 is just 5 factorial. So we do this long step only for this part of the questions. That is when it comes to computing the coefficient of what? Of that term. So you get 5 factorial there, and then down there to be 5 minus 1 factorial, and then that there will be 1 what? Factorial. Okay, then you have x to the power of 5 minus 1, that is just going to give me 4. Then you have negative what? Negative 2 to the power of 1, which is just negative 2. Then you get 5 factorial next, then 5 minus 2 factorial, then 2 factorial. So this is going to be x, then x there minus 2 gives me 3. Then I raise it to the power of what? The power of 2. That is going to give me positive 4, like that. And then plus, you have 5 factorial, then you have 5 minus the 3 there, factorial, and then this here divided by what? 3 factorial. Then next there you have x to the power what? So that's 5 minus 3, which is 2. And then to the negative power, that there is going to give us negative 8. Okay, next. Okay, so let me erase this line instead. So, okay, what are we gonna get next? So what follows there is going to be plus, so I'm continuing. So we continue, the next term is this one here. So that's 5 factorial over 5 minus 4 factorial, and then you have 4 what? Factorial. And then that there is going to be plus the negative 2 to the power of 4. That is just going to give us what? 16, like that. And then we have next, that is 5 factorial minus 5 minus 5 factorial, like that. And then you have what? 5 factorial. So that is going to be, and then there, x minus x is just x to the power 0, which is just going to give us 1. And then this negative 2 to the power 5, that would be negative what? 32. Okay, so this is what we get. Now, this here is going to be equal to. So now we evaluate, we evaluate. So for the first one, which is this one here, we know this here is going to give us 1 because 5 minus 0 is just 5 factorial that divides, which just gives us 1. And then you have what? The 5x. So x to the power. So and multiply that, I just get 5 what? 5 to the, x to the 5th power. And then next, that's plus. So 5, there you have 4. This will be 4 factorial, then 1 factorial is just 1. So you have 5 factorial over what? 4 over 4 factorial. And then the 1 factorial is just 1. So this here just gives you, so that will be 5 over 4 factorial. Then the 4 factorial, there and there, divide and remain with 5. So here we get 5. So we get 5 here. So 5, this 5 then multiplies by that negative 2, which gives us negative what? Negative 10. So that there is going to give us negative 10. So you get this here minus, so minus, that would be what? That would be negative what? 10. 10 to the power, and then you have x to the power of what? The power of 4. Then you have x there to the power of 4. So x is to the power of 4. Then next, you continue doing the same thing and simplifying that way. You get the coefficient to be, so this one here, 5 factorial. So to be 5 factorial over 3 factorial over 2 factorial. So from this 5, I can get a 3 factorial, which is just 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 factorial. So that 3 go. 2 factorial is just 2 times 1. So 2 can divide into the 4 2 times. And you have 2 multiplied by 5 there. So 2 multiplied by 5 is going to give you 10. 10 multiplied by that 4 there will give you what? 40. So you get 40, and then you have what? X cubed. Okay, the next, so for the next, this will give you a negative. So that will be negative there. And then here you simplify. So here you get 2 factorial like that. So 2 factorial here, when you subtract, then you have 3 factorial like that. So you can get a 3 factorial from here. Okay, so you get the exact same coefficient which we had gotten here, which is just 10. But then 10 multiplied by this negative 8, you get negative 80. So that's negative 80. Then you have x to the what? To the second what? To the second power. And then the next one is here. So there you're going to have 1 here factorial, and then 4 factorial, which you just end up getting 5. So 5 multiplied by 16. So 5 multiplied by 16 there, it's going to give us 80. So that'd be plus 80. And then you have So we forgot x here. We forgot an x here. So there has to be an x there. So this is going to give us x, and then the next there, because here it reduces to the power of 0, meaning there has to be an x where it's reducing to the power of 0 from. Okay, next here you get that to be negative. So this here gives us 1. Then we have the 32 there. So we just get what? 32. So this here is what we get, or what we are going to have after doing that expansion. All right, so this here, I'll not do these combinations for the next one, but I will just punch them on my calculator and get those coefficients. All right, so next you are going to have, x over 3, then plus 2, then to the power of 6. So what are you going to do here? You're going to say, you raise that one, x over what? 3 to the power what? 6, like that. And then you have plus, that will be, that one raised to the power 0. So then plus, your next one is going to be x over what? 3. Okay, so here you have your, for the first one, you have 6, choose 1. I forgot to, 6, choose 0, which is just 1. Forgot to indicate that there. Okay, then the next one, here you have 6, choose 1, like that. And then you have x over 3 to the power what? To the power 6, like that. So x over 3 to the power 6, okay, to the power 5, it's reducing, that power reduces there. So the power 5, and then you have 2 to the power 1, then plus you have, there you're going to get 6, choose what? Choose 2, and then you have x over 3 to the power of 4, then 2 to the power of 2, plus then you have 6, choose 3, and then you have x over 3 to the power of, that reduces to 3, and then 2 to the power of 3, then plus, that is 6, choose 4, and you're going to have x over 3 to the power of 4, then you have 2 to the power of, oh, this is here is reducing and not increasing. So let me go back there. So yes, so this here reduces to 2, and then you have 2 to the power of 4. Then you have plus 6, choose 5. Then that is x over 3 to the power of 1. And then you have 2 to the power of what? Power 5. Then plus 6, choose 6. Then you have that to the power of 0. And then you have the 2 to the power of what? 6. Okay, so this is what you're going to get. So then 6, choose 0. That's just going to give me 1. So that gives me 1. And then I have 6 to the power, I have x to the power 6. So x to the power 6, then you have 3 to the power 6. So 3 to the power 6 there, you're just going to get that there. It's just going to give you 729. Plus, then 6, choose 1 is 6. And then you have x. So there I have the x raised to the power of 5. So x to the power of 5. And then you have, so 3 raised to the power of 5. There is, so 3 raised to the power of 5 is just going to give you 243. So that gives you 243, like that. And then 243, here you have this 2 multiplying by that, so you get 12 over what? 243. So this 12 over 243, like that, just reduces to 4 over what? 81. So we put there 4 over 81. Okay, and then next you have, so next you do that one, you see that you're just going to end up having, so here 2, choose, you have 6. So 6, choose 2, that's going to give you 15. So this here is 15. And then you have x to the 4th, I'll write that, x to the 4th, and then 3 to the power of 4. So 3 to the power of 4, 3 to the power of 4, there gives you 81. So 3 to the power of 4 gives you what? 81. So 81, and then 2 squared is what? Is 4. So 2 squared is 4, and we have 15 multiplied by what? The 4. So 15 multiplied by 4, there gives me 60. 60 over what? 81. So what is 60 over what? 81. So 60 over 81 just reduces to 20 over what? 27, like that. Okay, then the next you have this here, which is 6 choose 3, which is just going to be 20. So this here is 20. Okay, let me use a different color. That's 20. And then you have 3 to the power of what? That there. So that is going to be, I'll write that as 3 cubed. And then 3 to the power 3. So 3 to the power 3. That's going to give me 27. So I get 27 down there. Okay, so I keep that 27. And then I say 2 to the power 3, that's 8. 8 multiplied by 20. So 20 by 8, you get 160. So 160 then divided by what? 27. So that's 160 over what? 27. So 160 over 27. Can we reduce that one further? So can I reduce that 160 over? No, so I just write it as 160 over 27. Okay, next you have this one here. That is 6 choose 4. So 6 choose 4. 6 choose 4 is just going to be 15. So that gives me 15. Then 2x to the power 2, that's going to be x squared. And then you have this 3 to the power 2, that's going to be 9. So you're dividing by 9. Then x to the power 4, that's 16. 16 multiplied by 15. So you have 15 multiplied by 16, which is 240. So 240 over 9. So 240 over 9. 240 over 9, which just reduces to 80 over what? 80 over 3, does it? So 240 over 9. Okay, this is just going to be 80 over what? 3. Okay, and then you have the next value is here. So this here is just going to give us what? It's going to give us 6. So this gives us 6. And then you have the 3 there, 3 divided into 6. That's going to give us 2. And then you have 2 to the power of 5, which is 32. 32 multiplied by this 2 gives us 64. And then the x there. So that will be plus 64x. And then the last part there, you get this here is just 1. And then 2 to the power of 6, that there is going to give us 64. 64. And just like that, you would have expanded. All right, you would have expanded just like that. So the next is just using the same method which we have looked at here. And that is now to the power of 4. So that is x, 2x minus 3 over x to the power of 4. Okay, so this here, you do the same thing. So I'm just going to write what you're doing. So that is 4. Our n is now 4. Choose 0. Then you get 2x to the power of 4. And then that is plus. Next is 4. Choose 1. And then you evaluate. That's 2x to the power of, that reduces from 4 to 3 now. And then the other one increases to 1, which is negative 3 over what? X. And then plus you have 4. Choose 2. Then there 2x to the power of 2. That increases to 2. That's negative 3 over x to the power of 2. Then plus 4. Choose 3. That is going to be 2x to the power of, that reduces to 1. And then you have negative 3 over x to the power of 3. Then plus, that is 4. Choose 4. And then you have 2x the power of 0, which is just going to give us 1. So I better not write it anyway. And then I have negative 3 over x to the power of 4. Okay, so this here, I think should be, and it's going to be the last one for this tutorial which we are having. When you expand this, you're going to get, so this here, are going to get, so this here just gives us for the first one. So for the first one here, you do the what? You work it out, clean it up. You're going to get 16 to the power 4. Then you get a negative 96x squared plus 21. 6, then minus 216, then over x squared plus 81 over x to the fourth. So this here is what you're gonna get. All right, well, if you're new and you would like to have access to the remaining solutions, you could visit our website that is at discretelearning.com. So just open your web browser there, and then you can search here for discretelearning.com. So after searching there, go to the website. So let me just load. Okay, so when it loads, this is the website here. If you do not have an account, you can sign up for an account. So there's this option where it says start learning now. So start learning now takes me to this part here. And then if I want to enroll, I can enroll in any of these courses here that we have. You have math, chemistry, physics, biology. You have all these advanced math courses that are there, which you could subscribe to or get enrolled to. So for the courses where you're enrolled in, like this one here, I just say open course that way. And then general math here, I have access to what? I have access to a learning material. Those are the topics, summarized notes, tutorial sheets, and past paper questions. So for this here, since it's a tutorial sheet, so you just go here, and then depending on what university you belong to, maybe you're from Apex, Unilas, Unza, Mkuwa, Cavendish, Levy, whatever. Yeah, you just click there. So Mkoa, if I click here, then clicking there. Okay, so then I go here 2025, 2026 intake. Okay, then I see here the tutorial sheet 1, tutorial sheet 3, tutorial sheet 3. So this here will be tutorial sheet 4. So you see a new folder that is going to appear, which you just say tutorial sheet 4. And then when you click, you find the video that has full solutions. All right. If you're new, remember to hit the subscribe button. I have been Tutor Marius, and I'll see you in the next one.